Welcome to Red Sox Digest, the only show where pain, sarcasm, and a dash of hope collide nightly like a Trevor Story strikeout. We cover every loss, every meltdown, and yes, even the rare win, with brutally honest takes and zero front office fluff. Subscribe today at RedSoxDigest.com or risk being left out in the cold like a home game in April. And now, here's the crew at Red Sox Digest.
Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Red Sox Digest. I am your host tonight, Jim Dalfino. All right, let's get one thing straight. You know me, I root hard for the Sox. I pay attention because I care. And I'm calling bullshit when this lands in our lap. Oh, yeah, you could say I'm a little pissed off. I went into this week expecting fireworks from the Boston Red Sox front office, then spent 3 effing days watching them chatter about signing an impact bat, only to come home with polite waves and empty pockets. Joining me tonight is Nick Face. Nick follows the winter meetings like a kid on Christmas morning, wide-eyed, optimistic, convinced Craig Breslow was about to back the Brinks truck up in the lobby. 3 days later, the man's pacing like a divorced dad who just realized he booked the wrong weekend. Nick, Red Sox Nation actually believed that the Red Sox were walking out of there with Kyle Schwarber or Pete Alonso. Some thought both. Red Sox Nation had more faith in Breslow at the winter meetings than Disney has in selling $14 churros. Nick was refreshing Twitter like he was waiting for a heart transplant match. Any second now. Meanwhile, the Sox left Orlando, and from what was told, all they acquired was the flu. In the words of the immortal Joe Pesci, you got that? The whole team got the flu. Let's get into it. Your Boston Red Sox came into the 2025 MLB winter meetings in Orlando, hyped as one of the most aggressive clubs out there. The plan, land a big slugger to beef up the middle of the order. The target list, heavy hitters like Kyle Schwarber and Pete Alonso. Now, we get to watch from the cheap seats as Schwarber re-signs with Philly, a 5-year, $150 million deal with the Philadelphia Phillies, because, again, Sugar Daddy Dave always gets his man. Meanwhile, Alonzo, the other big name, signs with the Baltimore Orioles for 5 years, $155 million smacks. So, yeah, that power bat addition looked turned into thanks for coming out. Here's a participation ribbon. The front office, led by Craig Breslow, claimed they prioritized adding a right-handed bat. They met with Alonzo, Zoom call, scheduled in-person sit-down, and all the usual handshakes and sweet stuff. Schwarber's re-upping with Philly removes the first obvious target. After that, Alonzo's price and his suitors exploded. The dollars got scarier than Boston traffic, and Baltimore snapped him up. Meanwhile, the Sox appear to be pivoting back to internal options, maybe re-signing Alex Bregman and perhaps chasing other names that looked like a big bat window, which is looking to slam shut. Bitter punchline is this. This is what happens when you talk a big game, claiming to be aggressive, acting like you're hungry from impact, but don't actually empty the wallet when push comes to shove. Nick, we thought this might be the offseason where Boston flips the switch. Instead, it looks like they forgot where the damn button was. If they want to salvage this winter, either the Sox need to stop playing it safe and either bring back Bregman and sign another bat or go after a mid-tier slugger who's actually available. Or accept that 2026 might be rebuilding light, hope young guys step up and gamble on upside. But if they don't act, you can pencil in another we tried, with fans muttering what if every time another club puts up 40 bombs. Nick, I want to start off with you and bring back the word of the day.
And now it's time for Nick Face's Word of the Day.
We are going to be aggressive at the winter meetings and decisive because we need a power bat. We need to lengthen our lineup. We need to improve. Not my words. Craig Breslow's words. We go back to Fenway Park with big old zilch. 0. No Schwarber, no Alonzo, no Bregman, no nothing except Rule 5 picks to improve your team. Am I surprised? Nope. Folks, you have got to wake up. The most infuriating thing to me is when you hear your Millikins, your Carabases, your Gordos, your whatever else is on Twitter X, getting us all hot and bothered. Here they come. Oh, they're really having a good meeting right now. A lot of dialogue. Will Fleming comes out and says over the next 72 hours, we should be feeling so great like Christmas morning. We're used and abused is what it is. And if you fans out there, I love it. If you fans out there keep falling for it, you are a dope because you need a dope slap. Jim, I'm smart. I think you're smart as well. I'm not falling for any of the nonsense anymore. Anytime I hear that the Red Sox are interested or having a meeting or aggressively pursuing any of that shit, folks, it ain't happening. It is not happening. You're going to hear a lot of this and zip, nothing happens. I'm going to remind you that the very last contract that was signed long-term by John Henry and ownership with the Red Sox was David Price. That was 2017. Well, 2025, and we're almost about to celebrate a happy new year of 2026. Folks, it's been over 8 seasons now since you have had a long-term free agent signing with the Red Sox. Whenever you want to wake up and realize John Henry doesn't give a flying F about his baseball team anymore, that would be wonderful, because then we could all at least accept the fact that this ownership group doesn't care about their fans anymore. They don't care about their baseball team. They care about checking in and checking out of their ATMs, caring all about Liverpool, and that's that. They're going to put somewhat of a competitive team out there with these little short-term deals, your little Alex Bregman 1-year incentive, whatever kind of deal. That's it. You're not going to get a long-term thing out of this ownership group again. And that's why I've been chirping about it for years now. Thank you so much, John Henry, for 2004, 2007, 2013. And you really didn't do much about 2018 because that team was just a freak of nature. It's time to go bye-bye. It's time for a new blood, new ownership to come into town and reinvent the wheel here and get us back to being one of the best organizations in baseball instead of being the Tampa Bay Boston Red Sox. It is sickening.
Yeah, excellent points there, Nick, to start off. The bottom line here is that we need to get new ownership in here. If John Henry doesn't want to compete to the level of expectation that the typical Red Sox fan should have and deserves to have, then I'm sure there are enough billionaires in this country that would take a flyer and buy the Boston Red Sox. They are the third biggest expensive organization in Major League Baseball behind the Yankees, Dodgers. Actually, I think the Dodgers in there, but the Blue Jays as well. 19 million by Rogers Center, or billion by Rogers Center. So, bottom line here is that we can't keep going with this each and every year. But going through the talking points, go one by one. Obviously, when I saw that Pete Alonso was kind of toying the idea with the Baltimore Orioles, I chuckled, Nick, at this. I didn't think it had any legs at all. I was really surprised. I didn't think the Baltimore Orioles were really going to spend any money. It seemed like their window had closed, to be honest with you. I understand they've got Gunnar Henderson and a lot of young guys, but it seemed like the last 2 years they have stunk that they weren't going to go ahead and do anything. So this came as a big shocker to me. I think the bigger shock, and I want to get your opinion on this. I just saw this probably right before we got on, and it was this here. It said that the Red Sox were wary of signing Pete Alonso because of his age. So, Nick, I have a question for you. How old is Ketel Marte? How old do you think he is?
29.
32. How old do you think Gino Suarez is?
He's 35. I know that.
34. How old do you think Alex Bregman is?
He's going to be 32.
He's 31. He's going to be 32 in March. How old do you think Corey Seager is?
He is 31.
31. So all these guys are the same effing age as Pete Alonso. So don't give me
offense to it all because I'm 35. So I guess I'm the old goat here, but I'm more in my youth than ever. So screw you, John Henry.
But here's my point. How do you get away? How does Red Sox ownership and management get away with that excuse, Nick? When the rest of the guys...
It's just a cop-out, Jim. It's just a simple cop-out. It's because John Henry doesn't want to put his money where his mouth is. That's all this is. That's it. It has nothing to do with age discrimination and all of this nonsense and nerd vocabulary and statistics. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with John Henry, point blank, not wanting to sign his name on a check because he got burnt by David Prices of the world and Pablo Sandoval's, your Kyle Crawfords. Those three deals right there are the sole reasons why he is not investing in long-term contracts anymore with any player in baseball. That's it. That's the discussion if we want to continue that.
The New York Mets, I think, made it very clear that they were not going to go past 3 years for Pete Alonso. This was a perfect opportunity when Kyle Schwarber signed a 5-year, and we'll bring that up as well. Kyle Schwarber was re-signing with the Philadelphia Phillies for a 5-year, $150 million deal. Nick, if you offered that to Alonso, I think you had him. The fact of the matter is that all they had to do was give him the 5-150 deal, and he'd be a Red Sox tonight.
I don't think the Red Sox are going to go more than even 2 years on a Schwarber or an Alonso. Now, there's reports that the Red Sox never even put an offer out there on Schwarber. I believe it because this is what this team is. They want to be depth pieces. They want rotating players. They want David Hamilton types and Nate Eatons who can move around the diamond and not lock up these players at one position. Well, how's that done for you for the past 5 seasons? You happy with that, folks? It's a disgrace.
So this is one of my contentions and why, I get into it with these, imbeciles on Red Sox Twitter, because they think right away, this player's good, that player, I put out a tweet yesterday that I got railroaded on about Alex Cora, and I said Alex Cora needs to go, and everybody, what are you talking about? He's my manager. F you, he's my manager. First of all, you have to understand the context of the tweet. So I'm talking to all the Red Sox imbeciles that are out there. He was making Yoshida, he was massaging Yoshida that he's healthy and he's ready to contribute, finally healthy. This was your nail in the coffin to show you that they were not going to go after any big name because they're already trying to massage you, the Red Sox fan, that get ready because Yoshida's coming back. And when I said that, I said that's the reason why someone like him's got to go. I don't want to be massaged with half-ass players anymore. I'm tired of 1 and 2 year deals. I'm tired of reclamation projects. This team has been a reclamation project since 2019. They're signing every injured pitcher, every 1 or 2 year deal, and any pillow contract they can to stay out of, to your point, anybody that's a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 year contract. They will not do that again. They don't want to do that now. They won't do it in the future. And the problem is when people are going to say on Twitter that this team is building, I want to know what the hell you're building. Because outside of Roman Anthony, you're telling me Duran's available, Rafaela could be available. You're telling me that Abreu could be available. You have no first baseman. You have no second baseman. If Story didn't opt in, you wouldn't have had a shortstop, and they don't even know if he's going to play short. You have no third baseman, and you went out and acquired 57 catchers this offseason so far. So you're obviously not that crazy about your catching situation. So where are they competing in the short term? I don't see it.
I said this when we wrapped the season show after the Yankees took that wild card series. I said, get ready for Tristan Casas at first.
Mm-hmm.
I said, get ready for Marcelo Meyer at second.
Mm-hmm.
I said, likely Trevor Story's going to be back at short. I had a feeling that was going to come down. Get ready for Nate Eaton at third. You'll have Jarren Duran back in left. Ceddanne Rafaela in center. Wilyer Abreu in right. And Yoshida is your DH. And they will rotate Romy Gonzalez in around there, which leads me to my next point. If you're thinking that the savior of Alex Bregman is coming here, it's not happening. Bregman wants at least a 4 or 5 year deal. He's not going to take, in my opinion, another 1-2 year deal and be okay with that. He is going to go somewhere else. I am fairly certain he will. And he may have to wait it out again all the way up until spring training. But I think another team is going to take him. I don't see the Red Sox with it. I think exactly what you just heard out of my mouth will be a lot of what happens for next season. And Jim, I don't know if I can sit here and even waste my time watching this next season to see what happens there. Oh, the other player was Roman Anthony. Excuse me. Roman Anthony will be a part of there. That means that you're going to probably have to trade somebody, but we haven't seen any of this stuff yet. I know it's early in the offseason, but I don't know. I think that Craig Breslow does not have a good reputation amongst the rest of baseball. I think all he wants to do is make moves with Chaim Bloom with the Cardinals. I think if any trades go down, in all fairness, it's going to be connections that he has with other organizations. We already know the Dodgers. I don't want any other players from the Dodgers. I'm all done with them. I'm done. The Cardinals, I could see Brendan Donovan here. I could see that. I could see that happening because Chaim Bloom, Craig Breslow, they're BFFs. They're already 2 peas in a pod sitting in the cuckoo tree. You will also have that relationship with the Cubs back when Breslow was there too. But I don't think the Cubs want to make a deal with the Red Sox. I just don't. So maybe you can entertain with the White Sox getting Kyle Teal back. That'd be interesting. Trade Crochet with Kyle Teal, and then Kyle Teal comes back. That'd be something. But I am not thrilled with the direction of this. I just am not. I think right now it's a slap in the face to all of us fans who are passionate, who care, who watch all the time, who try their best to root for this team. And we're left with this. It's unacceptable. And I think they all need to be called out. And the more the merrier on it. Because the only way change happens is by making change from using your voice. But be professional about it. Use your voice. Call them out. We'll see what happens.
Nick, you brought up a few things there. Just because you touched on Donovan, I brought up his card there. Popping up in rumors, Boston has been linked to Donovan, perhaps as a versatile infield, outfield piece. Here's the thing. You look at the numbers, what did he do this year? 287 batting average, 10 home runs, 2.7 WAR, and so forth. Yeah, compliment. Okay, is he really better than Romy Gonzalez is question number one. Question number two.
Is he going to move the needle?
No, of course not. But here's the biggest thing. He's left-handed.
Exactly.
He's left effing handed. Okay? You want to bring Kyle Teal back? He's left effing handed. The guy you traded for, that you just got rid of Grissom in the trade to the Angels.
Yep.
Guess which way he bats.
He was right.
Left-handed.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Grissom. Sorry.
Yeah. So here's my point. While that all sounds good, you got to get some right-handed bats. Now, going back to Bregman that you talked about before, Here's the other contention that I've had with it. I've said this 1,000 times. If he couldn't get a 5-year deal last offseason when he came off a really bad second half but injury-free, how is he going to get a 5-year deal this year after he was injured? And
I completely agree with you.
Okay, that's number one. Number two, can you honestly imagine him going back to the Red Sox for the same stupid $40 million 2-year deal again?
I don't want him for that.
What would Boris want? Another 2 years with an option off after year one? They don't want that because of the lockout. That's the problem. He's not going to have any guaranteed money. If he takes a deal like that and there's a lockout, he's going to come back as a 35-year-old guy with no team. He's done. That's why they want a friggin' 5-year deal, because he wants.
And that's why he opted out.
Yeah, and that's why he needs his money now, because he's got to secure a long-term deal, because he's not going to get one next time. And that's what Thayer alluded to too on a couple episodes that we had a couple times ago, was the fact that, these guys, they have to hunt for their money. If they don't get it, that's going to be a problem. And I honestly don't want Bregman back. I've said once, I've said it again, I'll say it now. If I got the guy that was in April and May and part of June, absolutely. He was top 10 hitter in the league. But I have too many questions about his health, and he's a year older. I don't see the point in it. If you're not willing to go 5,150 on Schwarber, 5,150 on Alonzo, you bring back Bregman. Nick, you haven't changed anything to this team. You are going to go. You're going to be exactly the way you ended at the end of this last season.
You're going to be worse, because you're coming into a season with, if they do go with the Casas, Romy Gonzalez platoon, who knows what they do with that. You have so many more questions heading into this upcoming season than you did at the start of last season. Remember, you at least still had, wasn't a happy person, you still had Rafi Devers. And we kept on hearing, we're going to reinvest that money. We're going to get better. We're going to use that somewhere else. As I said, when the whole freaking thing went down, that went to John Henry's next yacht fund. Get over yourself, people. Like, how can people think that they're going to use that after what we've seen over the past 8-9 seasons here? I don't get it, Jim. I don't get it. Is it a mental disorder these fans have? I'll call them out. I don't care. What are you watching? What are you seeing? What are you reading? What are you doing, people? After the 4 championships, it's like some people just put their feet up and just say, well, we won 4. That's fine. It's okay to be Loserville now. I'm not okay with it.
Nick, I think the major issue with a lot of these people, I see them on Twitter all the time. They're railroading me all the time for my comments. They've been around winning so much between the Patriots, the Celtics, the Bruins, and the Red Sox. They don't understand what failure is. I know I've got a few years on you, but I'm telling you right now, the 80s were a disaster in Red Sox Nation, okay? It was bad. Lou Gorman was in charge. John Harrington was the principal owner, and he wasn't even the owner, okay? And, Yawkey, she was really at the late stages of her career in life. It was bad. And not until the Duke came around was there even a glimpse of a change, because that's when we started seeing the Pedros and the Mannies get signed, and Pedro coming over and get signed from that trade. And that was the start of the dynamic of the new age Red Sox. But I'm telling you, it was just a wing and a prayer, and you had less of a chance of getting into the playoffs because of the way that the construction of the roster of the teams were. You had 2 divisions. That was it. You knew you were in or out. There was no wild card. There was no central. None of that existed. So you knew right away whether you were kind of in or out. Early on in August, September, your season was already cooked. So I don't know.
Well, now I will say this. 1980s definitely was a decade that had their worst moments. I wasn't around for the 80s. I'm a 90s guy. But I will say, right now, the 2020s are shaping up to be the a disaster, worse than the 80s. Because at least 86, you got to the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say anything about this 2020 era, except for if you want to celebrate 2021. Woohoo! Go right ahead. I'm not celebrating 2021, and I am not celebrating this crap fest that this year was of 2025. They shouldn't have made it in the first place.
No, this team didn't deserve to be in the playoffs. Unfortunately, guys like Crochet had to work their ass off. But for the most part, it was just a complete revolving door of starting pitchers. Again, it's just a complete debacle the way that this has been going. I just want to move on a little bit to some of these other rumors. Isaac Paredes, the Sox have inquired to the Houston organization about Paredes possibly as a third base or corner infield option. Here we go again, Nick. Here we go with dumpster diving and finding, someone else's trash. I'm not interested. You?
If the Houston Astros gave up on Alex Bregman as their third baseman, this was their next guy upcoming, and now they want to get rid of this guy too, that says everything I need to know. Why would I want to entertain somebody else's junk? Welcome to the junk pile, the dollar store general, Craig Breslow. Sounds exactly what he would do. Exactly.
Well, 254 batting average. He had 438 plate appearances, 20 home runs, 53 RBIs, which is kind of awkward. Sounds a little bit strange there. I don't think he had a lot of runners on. No stolen bases, was caught once. So he's got very little speed. He had an OPS of 809. Again, he was an all-star, but here's the thing. He's just a guy, Nick. Do you want to give up some of your assets? And I'm a guy that loves to give up young players to get established talent. That's why Dombrowski was one of my favorites. But I don't want to just give up anybody for just a guy.
No, I don't either. I am not interested in this move. I do not want Isaiah Paredes. I don't. I pass. I'd even entertain more of a Brendan Donovan than I would of this guy. I just would.
Next on my list, Corey Seager. There was some chatter about him, and then it was kind of quickly debunked. I don't even know what to believe anymore as it relates to some of these guys. As we talked about earlier in the show, 31 years old. So, are they afraid of him like they were Alonzo? Because he's got a 10-year deal that he signed. It is this contract goes through 2031. So you would have the 26 season, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31. He's got 6 years left of this deal.
It would be 37, 38.
Right. And where is he going to be playing? Is he your second baseman? Should something like this happen? 21 home runs, 271 batting average this year. Gave him an 860 OPS. And he had 19 doubles, which is a little low. He's led the league in doubles in the past. So there is a little bit of a decline in his ability. He was not an all-star this year. Still a pretty good player, but do you honestly see them taking on any of that salary? He's making $32 million a year, Nick.
No, they wouldn't take on the salary. And I also want to say, for me, I would not be worried about the age whatsoever with him.
I'm not.
I'm more concerned on durability. He has not played in many games throughout his career. Just to name a few, dating back to 2019. I know the 2020 season was short, 52 games. 2021, 95 games. When he was an all-star with Texas, when they signed him for his first season, 151 games. That season was fairly good for him. His batting average was a little low, 245, but overall, very good season for him. The following season, only 119 games. 2024, 123 games. And then this past season, only 102. So I would be very hesitant on a guy like this, thinking that he was going to stay durable over the course of that contract. And again, I don't think age is the real question there. I think it's more, how does the body handle another 6-7 years of that deal? I just think it gets more broken down and production will plummet, and you will not like the player if you trade for him right now. I think the Rangers would love to move him to not have to be stuck with that deal. I think that's a big regret of the Rangers, and they're looking for a team to take on the entire sum of that deal. Red Sox won't do that.
Yeah, Nick, I mean, as far as the Rangers are concerned, they got their championship. Okay, it worked for them. Their entire setup and what they did, it worked. But they're looking to move on. It was clear by moving Simeon, that was another big contract that they had. They were able to unload him. And, of course, now if they want to unload Seager, they want to start going in a different direction. So, hats off to them. But I agree with you. Here's another name that the Red Sox have been tied to that is probably the only saving grace left, is Ketel Marte. The Sox are very much in the mix for Marte per multiple reports. He's an all-star second baseman, shortstop candidate. He hit .283 with 28 home runs and was having a .517 slugging. Now, Nick, if we break down the contract, he had a 6-year, $105 million contract extension, which is $17.5 million per season, which in this day and age in Major League Baseball is peanuts. The problem is it will continue on until his age 38 year, which is a huge red flag for John Henry. So obviously there's concern there. But the way that he hit and, the numbers that he put up, 28 home runs, 72 RBIs, a .283 batting average, and a .893 OPS, putting him at second base is a very good move for the Boston Red Sox. The problem is I'm worried that they want a fortune for Ketel Marte, Nick.
I told you last night, and I've been hit or miss on him. I like the numbers. The numbers. The numbers are the thing. What I worry about with him is coming to a high-pressure market like the Red Sox and producing and performing. He had a breakdown with a fan, I believe it was a White Sox fan earlier this season, that taunted something about his late mother. And he just broke down in tears, and there was a lot of emotion that was expressed there. Many teammates had to come to his defense and kind of keep things together as a unit. We heard Torey Lovullo, their manager, talk a lot about Ketel Marte and other players on their team as well, coming to bat for him and everything like that. So if people are concerned about him not being a good teammate, that has nothing to do with it for me. It's more the mental fortitude of playing in a place where you are in the spotlight 24/7. We have said it numerous times on this show. We are ruthless. We call it as we see. If you don't produce for a night, you are trash. Mm-hmm. It's just how it is. That's how Boston fans have been. Are we a little bit more lenient, Jim and I, on times of things? Yes. But the casual fan will, if you don't do something right, and case in point, Jarren Duran. When Jarren Duran had that horrible play, was that 2022 back in center field where he just stood there and let the ball just go all the way? We fans were crucifying him. And at that point, I thought we would never see anything of Jarren Duran again. He ended up making something out of it in 2024. He turned into a starter, all-star, all that. I don't know if Ketel Marte has the same mental toughness to be here in the city. So I would be very hesitant on this move. Could I grow to like it? Yes. But it would have to take me some time to see how he adjusts here in Boston. He's in Arizona. I know they were in the championship. What was it, a season ago? And I know he's played under the bright lights and in those moments. I understand that. So I don't worry so much on the postseason thing. I just worry about the pressure of being in Fenway Park in Boston with fans. Whether things go wrong, can he handle it? And right now, to me, if I was the decision maker on this, my vote is no. I would pass. So that's where me putting on my GM hat more than Craig Breslow did this past week, I pass on it. But that's just me. I don't know how you feel, Jim.
Well, let me ask you this question before I go into it. Would you rather Bregman back or Bichette? Because it looks like Bichette's a no-no as well, because they're not going to want to give him a long-term deal.
I would rather Bichette. So I'm kind of hoping right now that Kyle Tucker lands with the Blue Jays, because I don't think the Blue Jays would have enough left after giving Dylan Cease the deal, and then say it's Kyle Tucker that goes to the Blue Jays. They will not have enough money to go and put Bo Bichette back in play with their team. The question here, yes, would I like him? This is the problem. Yes. Do the Red Sox want to pay him? No, they don't. So I'm not going to get all my hopes up and say, yep, this is who I want. This is what they're not going to do it. If that it was my decision as ownership, management, Bo Bichette is my guy, my number one guy I target right now. But they won't.
Well, you brought up probably the most important point in all these conversations a couple moments ago when you talked about Marte and his ability to mentally play here. And I think this is the one thing that I argue with, Twitter fans around so much, because the nerds don't understand or take into account intangibles and optics. They just don't. They look at everything based on the numbers. And I had one guy tell me, he's like, well, Tanner Houck, of course he got a contract. He's 1 year removed from a, 4.3 WAR. The guy's not even going to play this year. He may not even play next year if there's a lockout. Why did you even tender him a contract? Here's the point that you brought up. Can a guy play in this market? Pete Alonso was a Met. He's in New York. He can play in this market.
He can handle it.
Kyle Schwarber, the Cubs, the Phillies, the Washington Nationals, and the Red Sox for a short period of time. He can handle the market. Of course, we don't know if Ketel Marte can. He might be soft. I don't know. But that's the bigger picture when your GM and baseball ops have to look at optics with these potential signings and trade partners, is to say, well, Pete is going to be 31. You got to look at a lot of the optics. He can play in the market. He can handle the good, the bad, and the indifferent. That's what's lost with all the number crunching that these imbeciles do day in and day out.
I mean, we have so many players currently on this roster right now that can't handle playing in Boston. Just to name a few. Tristan Casas can't do it. Probably will never be able to do it. Jarren Duran can't do it. Can't handle it. I even say at times Rafaela. Sometimes he does, and other times it's just he hits a home run and he goes into a month slump. I think guys that handled it really well last season, Romy Gonzalez, 100%, did a great job with it. Trevor Story. I thought that Trevor Story, he proved me wrong last season, staying healthy, number one, but being productive. He had his definitely up and down yo-yo, but for the most part, I would say he did come through and he did give you something. Bregman is it's like NA, meaning not available, because you have first half and then you have missing in action second half. So I can't give a distinctive, can he over a long season do it? I can't yet in Boston. I know he does well in the playoffs. I know he's been to all these postseasons in a row. I'm not taking that away. I'm taking the point that can he lead you for a full season into the playoffs and beyond? We can't answer that question right now. So people who are constantly saying, just bring Bregman back, he solves all the problems. No, he does not. He adds to your problems because you need depth. You need to make sure he's healthy. And if he blows out another quad, you're screwed.
And that's the number one reason why the Red Sox don't want to offer him a long-term deal. Here's the other part of it. You're Scott Boras for a minute, Nick. You got to look at this and put your tail between your legs, because if he doesn't have a market with anybody else for a multi-year deal, how do you go back to the Red Sox and say, hey, Brez, we'll take that 2 and 80? How does that even happen?
I can't even tell you what other teams would want him right now. I would say the Phillies are out.
Of course.
The Dodgers don't need him.
I don't think so.
The Tigers are looking to dump Tarek Skubal. Why would they want Bregman? It makes no sense. The Cubs.
Again,
I don't know.
Nick, he was offered $170 last year from the Tigers and didn't take it.
Yep.
So what does that tell you? It tells you he doesn't want to play there.
Exactly. He doesn't want to be there.
Now, I mean, I understand his old manager is there from Houston, but at the same time, I mean, what would you do? Would you take $170 million or would you take $120 million? It's not a hard question. It wasn't like it was $2 or $3 million difference. Here's another name I want to throw at you that the Red Sox have been connected to: Gino Suarez. Another flash in the pan guy who had a pretty productive season as well. He started off with obviously the Diamondbacks. They went through their selling process. He finished the year .228 batting average. I hate these .220 hitters with a passion. Okay, 49 home runs and 91 RB. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I was looking at the projection. He had 49 home runs, 118 RBIs, 220 batting average, and an 824 OPS. With 49 home runs, you would think his OPS would have been over 900.
I'll tell you right now.
I mean, he's not walking. 46 walks in 588 at bats. So he's not a guy that's going to actually take pitches either, Nick.
He reminds me of a poor man's Mark Trumbo. Remember him from the Angels when they used to pair him with Mike Trout?
Yeah.
And I don't mean poor meaning like less money. I just mean as a comparison. He's a worse Mark Trumbo.
Yep.
I don't want him, is what I'm trying to say. Yes, the power, tremendous. But this Red Sox team, I mean, just looking at the numbers here from him alone, just the strikeout numbers alone, do you want another 150 to 200 strikeouts a season in your lineup? I don't, especially when you're probably going to have the strikeout queen, Tristan Casas, in there. Trevor Story, the whiff king. Jarren Duran, you still got that. Wilyer Abreu, you can't hit the broadside of a barn at times. So do you really want that, fans? I mean, we got to wake up here a little bit, because I heard a lot of people saying, oh, now it's time to pivot to Gino Suarez.
Well, here's the other thing.
What are we doing?
Nick, he had 196 strikeouts last season, 2025. He would have led the league, but he got traded. But he did lead the league. Let's see here. He led the league in 2023, 2022, and 2019 as a member of the Reds and then Seattle at that time. So I mean, this is a strikeout machine. This is a guy that's not going to put enough balls in play. He's going to strike out. We have enough guys like that, like Tristan Casas. We need guys that are actually going to put the ball in play. I heard a statistic today. I think it was I don't think it was on MLB radio, and I forgot who it was that was on, but they were talking about Bo Bichette, and they said he had the highest batting average in the American League on fastballs, and I think balls in play on fastballs. This is a guy that came back from an injury Alex Bregman came back from an injury. Did you notice the difference between how they both reacted when they came back from injury? Because I sure in hells did. Alex Bregman couldn't do jack squat. And you know what? Bo Bichette almost won the Blue Jays the World Series. In fact, probably should have. So there's a big difference there between those two. And that's the guy, honestly, at this point, that they should target, and they're not going to. And it's a sad state of affairs. That's all you can say about it.
What's interesting, I was just thinking about it when it comes to contact and power. That's bare minimum 2 bats that you need. Bare minimum. I think, Jim, you're in the camp where you need 3 to improve this team drastically because you do not have really anybody who's a contact hitter. Jaron Duran's not. Trevor Story's not a contact hitter. He's maybe Romy Gonzalez, you could say, is a little bit of a contact hitter. Maybe. That's a push. Marcelo Meyer, we have so many question marks on him. So many. Roman Anthony, I guess you could make the argument, is a contact hitter.
But he's leading off. You need a guy behind him, Nick.
But you have nothing. You have nothing for protection. And that is what scares the bejesus out of me. Right now, on paper, if this team were to enter the season to start right now, in my eyes, they are the worst team in the division.
They are the worst team in the division. And this is why I'm surprised that they were even in the playoffs, like we said earlier in the show. The bottom line here is that even if you bring back Alex Bregman, you are no different than the end of last season.
Yep.
And I don't want anybody coming at me and say, oh, well, you'll have a whole year of Roman Anthony. That's good, and you should, but it should be an addition. I know you're a big JD Martinez fan. I am too, and I know you bring it up a lot on our shows. The fact is that the 2018, we'll call it the 2017 offseason, right? The 2017 offseason, going into 2018, the Boston Red Sox were a juggernaut before signing JD Martinez. And JD Martinez was the missing link for that DH spot that secured the best hitter in the DH role in the American League that year, and if not all of baseball. That's how the Boston Red Sox used to be. Above average players. Theo Epstein said this a million times. The Boston Red Sox should always have above average players at every position on the diamond, period. And the fact that they can't do it is absolutely alarming. And this is why I was so pissed off at that Alex Cora content thing that he had about Yoshida, because I said, here comes the spin again.
I got a question on that, on the Yoshida front. And I was thinking about it. We all know it's a lie, 100%. If anybody actually thought that that was a true statement, leave the room. Did Alex Cora make that statement because they're trying to find somebody out there who will take on Yoshida?
Well, when I wrote that, a lot of people wrote, they said, well, he's trying to make it, he's trying to, screw up, possibility for a trade. He's got to make it sound great. Well, teams do their homework. They're going to know what they're getting with him. My concern is that the Red Sox have a decision. If they're looking to move him, they are not going to be able to move him and the money that's remaining on his contract. The Red Sox will have to eat a lot of that. And I do not see them going out and getting a DH style guy, such as if Alonzo was going to be the DH, or use Schwarber, for example, $30 million a year. Were you going to pay Schwarber $30 million a year and then have to pay 20 or 15 or 18 million a year per season to have Yoshida play elsewhere? Because now, if you do the math, Schwarber now becomes a $48 million DH spot. And the Red Sox are not going to do that. This is not your old Red Sox from the 2000s. They're not going to operate that way.
The reason the Red Sox didn't even offer a contract to Schwarber was because of Yoshida and Casas.
Mhm.
That's why. And that to me is absolutely appalling and embarrassing, truthfully.
The two of them have been a cog in the wheel for this team for the longest time, ever since Yoshida's
Going
been
on what,
signed.
4 years?
And even longer for Casas, because if you recall, after we had Mitch Moreland, all you heard was Casas is coming, Casas is coming. Don't do anything. We lost out on Freddie Freeman because Casas was coming.
Correct.
We lost out on Pete Alonso because why? Casas is working out in Fort Myers. He's in Fort Myers now because it just seemed very coincidental, Nick, that post went out during these winter meetings. And then, of course, the massaging about Yoshida from Alex Cora. They're setting you up, Nick. They're setting up Red Sox Nation, and you said it to open tonight's show. Casas at first, Romy at second, Story at short, Merritt at third, Duran, Rafaela, and then you're going to have
Anthony.
You're going to have Roman Anthony or Abreu. Something of that ilk is going to be there, and Eaton to replace. What's his name there?
Marcelo Meyer.
Ref Schneider.
Oh, Ref Schneider. Yeah.
That's what your team's going to be. That's what you said back at the end of this season. And I'm starting to believe it more and more.
Sad. It's a sad state of reality. I don't like to say some of the statements sometimes, but I like to call it, I like to shoot from the hip. We only can go off of what we see. And what we see here is an organization that's in a tailspin, an organization that doesn't want to spend, an organization that will not put a big contract together for a premier free agent ever again. They want to invest in their youth. I get that. I'm happy with Roman Anthony. We still have a lot to see on Marcelo Meyer. If you really think that Tristan Casas is going to do something, oh my goodness. You might need to go to a mental institution if you think that's happening. But
going to go over a few of our comments today. Glenn, who's a listener, Jim, Nick Face, expect nothing. I don't, Glenn.
I don't.
Nothing. We're not. And in fact, Glenn, I've had a lot of people on Twitter reach out to me today to apologize to me for my negativity. I had one guy, I can't think of his name right now, and I told him, listen, brother, don't worry about it. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but
so do we. We want to see them be a good team.
I'm the professor
playoff team, but they're just not there.
I'm the professor of harsh reality. I hate to tell you, I'm not going to tell you I told you so, because it's just the way I know that they're going to run and function. Same old shit, Glenn. Exactly. Nugget had to say he hides out in his siloed mansion. I think he's referring to Henry. When Maz talked to Henry last year, he had no clue that we despise him. You know what, John? I know you're probably you're not listening to this broadcast, but if someone would bring this to your attention, you were the most beloved owner in the history of this franchise for what you did, and you single-handedly made us all despise you because of the way that you're running this organization from the top. And I don't know if it's because Larry Lucchino is gone, but I think that has a lot to do with it. Glenn, again, our players stink. Cora has to go. Listen, we have too many sub-average players on this roster, and they don't want to add. And the thing of it is, Nick, I'm tired of the different excuses. This one's too old. This is too much money. This is this. It's absolutely horrific. Platoon is their model. Is absolutely
you got that
the way
right.
it is. Yep. Mm-hmm. I left out Anthony. Yeah, Nugget.
That's the one that I corrected myself. Yeah,
we got him at the end there. Nugget also says 21 is a fluke. Nick commented on there. It was. Here's the other thing, Nugget. If 2021 was so important to the Boston Red Sox and Chaim Bloom, why did they not want to retain any of those guys? Okay, if you had something built in 2021, why did they just basically ship everybody off? That really pisses me off. He's a pull hitter. I'm not sure who he's talking about on that one.
He might have been more of Roman Anthony, because we do need to see Roman Anthony go the other way. I think that was one of the biggest takeaways from me, is that he needs to use the field more. And I think over time and obviously adapting to the league, we'll see that.
Nick, if he starts hitting to all parts of the field, he's going to be probably threatening for a batting title every season.
I agree. And I also want to state that I don't like him leading off, but the Red Sox did that because they didn't really have any other options, because Jarren Duran stinks.
You know what I would, if you had Bo Bichette, he's your leadoff hitter and Anthony Batts second.
I would love that. I echo that statement.
Yep. Nugget, we had a durable, great hitter, and we traded him for basically barley soup. I mean, it was just absolutely ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It's a sad state of affairs that you're going into this year without a 30 home run hitter at this point. Had a couple other ones here. They're not going to pay Skubal $400 million. That's why they're trying to get a great prospect package. I agree with you. You know what? Go to the Dodgers. Let the Dodgers trade for him. They can take the other guy. Yeah, they can take one of their starters now, trade them away. Maybe Glasnow, who's always made of glass anyway, and they can have Skubal there. And then you know what? Just tell all the players don't even show up for spring training. We'll just give the Dodgers the title. Just probably just be easier that way. Christian Campbell, I don't know about Campbell, Nick. I'm still a little bit on the fence. He looks good in I don't know if he's playing the Dominican League or Puerto Rican League or Mexican League. He's bulked up a little bit, but you know what? This is another case of the Red Sox thinking they're the smartest person in the room. They went and they signed him and gave him $60 million after April because he was hitting the cover off the ball. Once the league figured him out, that was the end of Christian Campbell. And I'm really concerned with the fact that he didn't have another cup of coffee in 2025 after that, because I'm wondering if the Red Sox have lost faith in him.
Back to that mental awareness, mental toughness. Can you handle being here in the city? After what we saw, after the rough start, I don't know if we're ever going to see it again. I think he could be Wilton Veras. There's a name for you.
Nugget also says, I wonder what they offered Alonzo. From what I'm hearing, it was a 2 or 3 year deal. So,
I actually heard it.
Oh, you did?
I did. It was a 1 year, $1.25. They took it out of the register at the dollar store down the street from me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. True story.
They probably offered him a slushie at Empire. Right?
They did. Yeah, I was going to have him come in and celebrate, but no. He said, see you later. I'm heading to Baltimore.
Give him a chocolate chip. You can give him a chocolate chip cookie and a.
He flew onto the Mass Pike and said, sayonara, I'm out of this blank hole.
From YouTube, Daniel says, hi, how you doing, brother? And then also on Facebook, Steve, your buddy is there. I'm so over this shit every offseason. Big talk, no results. This is the other thing, Nick, that really, blew smoke up my behind, grind my gears, as Peter Griffin would say. So many comments from Breslow, like you opened up with today with your word of the day, aggressive and decisive. Oh, yeah. Where was that, Craig? Where was the aggression? Where was the decisiveness? Where did it go? Is it up Hein Bloom's ass?
Yep, that's one. And the other one is at the food buffet down in Orlando.
Yeah.
Yeah, they ate up a house down there. Poor Mickey Mouse didn't know what to do with them.
It's funny you say that, because when that post on Twitter came out that they were going to be aggressive and decisive, I tweeted it and I said, where at the buffet, at the menu line at the buffet at the restaurant? Because that's
remember, all they had a cold. So if we want to give them another excuse, they couldn't meet with certain players, so they zoomed in like it was COVID times of 2020 to do their little in-house little interviews with people to see if maybe they want to come to the city.
Yeah, they zoomed in on Pete Alonso, and he's like, the Red Sox had the flu. You got that?
Yeah.
The whole team.
Excuse me.
Nick, any closing thoughts for tonight before we wrap up?
Oh, I have a lot of closing thoughts, but I'll just keep it brief. This team is a joke right now. The organization is a mess. They're in worse shape than they were about a year ago right now. And
not according to Alex Cora.
Oh, well, he can keep on dancing with his new wife.
He needs a wake-up call, Nick.
I think that it's early. I get it. There's some people out there saying you're a bunch of pessimistic piece of craps. Bah, bah, bah. You can only go off of the results on what you see. And what we are left with here is yet another failure of this organization, whether it be the trade deadlines or working out extensions or working out deals with players. And now another winter meeting comes and nothing happens from it. I think we're on the 2022, 23, 24. We're on the fourth year in a row where nothing has happened at a winter meeting. Even Crochet was towards what, Christmas time?
It was right after the winter meetings, but the bottom line is you're right. Nothing has happened.
Nothing's happened. No. And I think a lot of this has to do with your executives. I swear on it. I think that ever since we've lost Dave Dombrowski, the rest of the league looks at the Red Sox as an effing joke.
Yep.
They look at Chaim Bloom. Look at this imbecile who traded Mookie Betts. What a joke he is. Oh, here comes their 12th choice, Craig Breslow, to the rescue to save Chaim Bloom out of his disarray of a disaster that he made. We are a joke to deal with for other teams. Other organizations laugh at the Red Sox and say, look what you once were and look what you are now. It's shameful.
Yep.
And you mentioned the names. You mentioned Larry Lucchino. I mean, I think he took some flack over the years, but Larry Lucchino at least was a 10 times better executive than our buddy Sam Kennedy ever wanted to be. This organization has gone downhill ever since Sam Kennedy took over for Larry Lucchino.
Yep.
100%.
Sam's a clown, and there's no other way to describe it. Wrapping up, I just want to say this last part. The end of the world isn't here. There is still time, Craig Breslow, to actually win us all back over, and it's very easy. It starts with Bichette, Bregman. Bring in 2 or 3 bats. There's still some good guys out there that are going to be well sought after and can make this team great. It starts with Bichette. He's the number 1 target left. All these other guys are fringe guys. But if you bring him in and then bring in Bregman, and you can find a way to trade for a first baseman and get yourself a Freddie Peralta, you can salvage this offseason. But you have to decide, do you want to? Because you started the offseason behind Toronto, and Toronto got better. You started the offseason behind the Orioles, and the Orioles got better. The Yankees are looking to get Garrett Cole back. There's a possibility they're going to be better than you. So you better figure it out pretty quickly, and you better try to convince John to open up his wallet and spend some money the correct way. Because if not, you're going to have a lot of pissed off fans yet again after you.
It's going to be worse. It's going to be worse than when Xander left the city. I thought that was when we kind of hit our rock bottom point. I'll never forget going to the Bruins Winter Classic game when it was at Fenway, and John Henry came out and he got torched to smithereens. Yeah. And a week later, that's when the Devers extension came out.
Yep.
He was annihilated. Fans let him have it. And I think that woke him up a little bit, just a little bit, and said, oh, damn, I got to do something. And that's when they made the big extension.
He's back out of touch with reality, unfortunately.
He is. He doesn't care. So,
but that's going to wrap it up for tonight. Nick, I'd like to thank you for being on. I'd like to thank everybody that was watching and listening. This will be up on our podcast webpage. If you are not a member of our digital product, go to RedSoxDigest.com, RedSoxDigest.com, where we have articles during the season as well as our podcast listed. Have a good night, everybody, and we will see you on our next show when something breaks. Hopefully it's tomorrow, but we'll see. Have a good night.